Well, another thing about Ronnie is that he was very schooled. You know, he was an English major.
I didn't
So
know that.
his lyrics,
Didn't know that.
yeah, he's a very prolific writer. But what a great lyricist, storyteller.
It's all stories, all great stories, and you live the stories. It's like it was like a fantasy kind of vibe. You know what I mean? You got into and you wanted to live that vibe. You know?
Sometimes it's overwhelming to play with your heroes, because where do you draw the line? There's a bit of you that wants to remain that fan,
Right.
but he doesn't want a fan in the band. He wants a bandmate.
Yeah.
So you have to lose some of that fan.
Did you
know what I
fake
mean?
it? Did you fake losing it?
Yeah, I faked it.
This is fun, like just sitting down and just be. If I was at home, this is what I do at 3 in the morning. When do you write? When do you write? Nighttime, daytime?
In the morning.
Yes. But my morning is when my kid goes to bed. My morning starts at, like, say he goes to sleep at 9 o'clock and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I watch my shows, and then I pour a glass of wine,
Yeah.
and then the writing begins. And then I have a little Hartke combo. This is like a commercial. It's like a little Hartke combo, but I get all my pedals. So I'm a pedal fiend, and I love learning.
I've watched the demos, you know, that you've done. It's amazing tones you get out of those
thanks.
pedals.
You know what it is? I think there's something wrong inside in the head. Something connects with me with noise. Say I'm playing at 3 in the morning, right, with this combo, and there's one time it sounded like an elephant dying. I was turned on by this sound. Now, I don't want to see things die, but it was such a weird noise. It's like, sometimes it just hits something in you. I said, that's a cool heavy, because it was a heavy noise.
What do you do when you say you're playing scales?
You know, I have no formal education at all with music. In high school, I was in jazz class. And do you know Johnny Tempesta?
Yeah, of course.
The drummer, great drummer. He plays with the Cult now.
Yeah,
Him and I went to high school together. We went through jazz class. So I would play the stand-up bass. And great education. I learned to read and all that stuff back then.
So you did have a formal education.
It really wasn't, I didn't dig deep because I was on the stand-up bass, right? But Johnny and I, and here's the trick here, we were in high school, we have this jazz class, we would get there half an hour earlier. Now this is in the metal movement, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Ozzy, all that stuff. Johnny and I would get there earlier as metalheads, and all of a sudden we'd be playing Ozzy. You know, we'd be playing Ozzy stuff. You know what I mean? We'd be playing great stuff, and all of a sudden we'd be playing like Maiden, Killers. You know, we'd be playing that stuff, and all of a sudden we'd have a circle of kids around us, and he'd get on the drums, I'd be on the bass, and long story short, we had a crowd, everybody's headbanging around us, to the Maiden and Priest were playing, and the teacher would come in and just pull the sticks out of Johnny's hands and pull the plug out of the bass and say, "Get out!" and send us to the principal's office. This was every day. And the principal would just say, "Again?" It was just like that, again. I mean, we were there every day because she didn't want us in the class. She was a great teacher. But just we weren't focused on that. We had a different view, you know what I mean? But I loved what I did learn on the stand-up because I think I got my extension.
Extension,
you know what I mean?
And strength, too.
And my hand, my hand strength, and quite honestly, I think that taught me a little bit about speed.
Yeah.
Speed and endurance, with the stand-up.
Exactly.
You know? How did you learn your technique? Here's my question to you. Your strength and your it appears to me that you're a 2-finger player, but you are a 3-finger player.
I'm 4-finger because I use a lot of my thumb technique too. You know, even back in the day, like Suicide Solution, I was thumping all along.
So even when I saw you with Ozzy, you were doing both though. I noticed that you trick it in. You trick it in. Like you'll do that, but I'll see you flick on one.
Yeah,
right?
I know. It was just a matter of getting more of a staccato tone,
right.
more of a hit.
And cutting through.
Because you're dealing with Randy with this triple stacks of Marshalls. Actually, back in Diary of a Madman tour, we had a castle. So he had three stacks. And then on the side, he had another stack of Marshalls. And then in front on the pit, he had another stack. So he had 5 stacks of Marshall. Then we had all the side fills. Usually the side fills was the loudest thing, you know.
Did you wear plugs?
No.
Randy! It is that,
I mean,
dude.
that, you know, back in the day, everything you saw on stage was plugged in and working. There was no such
I know,
thing
there's
as
no fake
dummy.
anything.
Yeah.
There's no dummy cabs up there.
That's
So
just-
everything, so you also had keys on stage also.
Well, we had Don Airy out
Don
there
Airy, that's
in
what
the
I'm
balcony.
saying. See, as a fan of seeing that, I had no idea because the bass was pumping. When I saw those shows, I saw them at the Garden. I thought it was bigger than life. That was, oh my God, look at this. And the bass was absolutely pumping.
And I'll tell you why, because what happened was that Bernie Tormé, that was after Randy
After
passed.
Randy, of course, yeah.
Bernie Tormé was playing guitar, and it was more of a bluesier style. You know, remember back in 1982, not a whole lot of people, guitar players, could play that style that Randy made. So it was very difficult to find somebody who could actually capture the essence of what Randy performed. You know.
How did that change your playing when Bernie comes in, or a Brad Gillis?
No, well, my playing was pretty much honed in because I focus on Tommy.
Yeah.
Because even though I learned the bass parts from the record, I couldn't play them exactly like they were on the record because here I am playing with Tommy Aldridge and I have to you know, sink in with what he's playing.
Sure.
So there were adaptations.
Yeah, but that was a great rhythm section. You guys, it was a lock.
Well, and Randy as part of the rhythm section
yeah,
too,
it was just awesome.
you know what made it really significant to me was the fact that naturally, as natural players, Randy and Tommy leaned forward, which was perfect for any arena stadium band.
Right.
You know, that leaning forward factor, because that means that you're projecting. There's a certain level of energy when you're leaning forward rather than pulling back.
It was always you and Tommy then, even when Bernie came in. Yeah. So did Tommy come into your playing, or did you adapt to him?
Oh, I had to adapt to Tommy.
Okay.
Tommy doesn't change.
I've never met Tommy. That's why I want to understand.
It was basically when you get Tommy in the band, you know what you get him because he does that.
Awesome.
He is Tommy Aldridge, so you want that Tommy Aldridge essence in the band, so you get Tommy Aldridge.
I loved when we first come in the first day. Yeah. How was that?
I got the original phone call to come on audition. I turned it down because I was in another band that I really dug, a band called Angel. You know, the guys dressed in white.
I saw you again. Totally. I love
Tomatoes.
Yeah, for Punky. Yeah, of course.
Guys. I was committed, and
I didn't know you were in that band, by the way.
But I was sleeping on the floor. Not even on a mattress. We're talking a sheet and the floor. That was me, you know. And so I get the phone call, and Sharon asked me, hey, you know, Randy's been telling me about you, and, you know, I want you to come down on audition. I said, oh, thanks, but I got this other band, and before I could she hangs up on me. You know.
Let me make my bed on the floor.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'll bring back to my floor, you know. And then,
I didn't know that.
And then the next day, I get a call from Ozzy. He says, hey, man, you got to come down. We just auditioned a bunch of hacks, and Randy keeps telling me that you're the guy. Now, by then, I already say, if this happens to me again, I'm going to go for it. So I went to, and I met Ozzy the night before, and we hit it off, and then, you know, the next day I auditioned, but Randy came over. We went over the songs, and, you know, he showed me some parts here and there, and I went in and played 2 songs, and I got the gig.
What was the first song? Because we never talked about this.
It was I Don't Know. Yeah.
So he just showed you the first riff, you know.
Yeah, all that stuff. You know.
So that bass in. Is that it? I've never asked him this stuff before. That's all. I didn't hit that. All right. When Randy's jamming that stuff, you're just learning it, right?
Yeah.
How do you start the bass on that? How do you? How do you know to do that note and just chord a note?
You listen to the record and you go, oh, it's an A.
But does Randy tell you that sounds better?
Well, actually, you know, one of the things that I really learned about when I was playing with Randy, see, I played with Randy both in Quiet Riot and Ozzy. The difference in composing from Quiet Riot, Randy Rhoads, to Randy Rhoads, Ozzy, it was more neoclassical influence, you know. So it was a matter of like saying, okay, we're playing in A, but it's A Dorian. compared to the tone center is actually in G.
So you would have to think that way.
You have to
Yeah,
think
you
that,
have to
and I
think that
still
way.
do.
Wow.
When I learn the song, I go, oh, okay, I'm playing in G. So it's basically I'm playing, you know, and doing the A minor Dorian.
Right.
So every time I go to a certain chord, I know that it's either going to be the Lydian in C,
Right.
the big Lydian when it gets down to a D, you know, on all of that.
Right.
You know, so it's not very blues-based
Right.
American rock. It was more of that English classical.
Right.
You know, for example, if you listen to Goodbye to Romance, D major.
Right.
And the Mixolydian.
How do you apply that to the riff? How do you know when to pull back? And how about bass fills? Bass fills, just simple bass fills.
Very
When is too much?
Yeah.
When do you have to pull back? When do you want to give that tasty lick?
Yeah.
That's always
I
my
listen
thing.
to the drums, and I try not to stay away from the drums and to support what the drummer is doing.
How about the melody of the vocal? Do you ever wait?
Always.
Do you know the
Always.
songs vocally?
Not only the melody,
Yeah.
I know the lyrics.
Okay. Wow.
You know, like,
All right.
I mean, I play with some of the greatest storytellers
Yeah,
ever.
absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
Ronnie James Dio.
Sure.
When I would listen to him singing, I was transported. I was there. I was next to the man on the Silver Mountain.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, dude,
I
are you
was
kidding me?
on the magic carpet ride with Gates of Babylon. All of that.
Think of your life, by the way. I'm just so jealous of what you've been through. Just
You're the
because
bass player for Anthrax. Come on.
to me, it's irrelevant because I'm such a fanboy of bass players
what?
and their stories.
Me too.
It really is.
I've been a fan longer than I've been a professional musician.
And I'll always be a
and
fan.
I'll never ever lose that. You know, that being fan of you, other great bass players that we'll tour with. You know, you have a joy about you when you play that. It's contagious because I watch it. It makes me happy. It makes me happy to be a bass player.
Thank you. Yeah, we play bass. I want to play. I don't want to, work bass.
Yeah.
You know, I think
Exactly.
people forget that sometimes. My clinics, what I do is I try to keep away from too much technique. I think it's a little, all that stuff. I want to take people through my ride of how I learned how to play. I didn't have a dad. My dad abandoned us when I was 10 years old. And it sounds like a sob story, yada, yada, but I needed heroes. I think every kid needs a hero. My heroes weren't sports stars. They were bass players. So I had Geddy Lee, Steve Harris, and Gezer Butler. Those are my three go-to guys, right? Three amazing dudes, right?
Absolutely.
So everything they would do, I'd study. I go home and put my vinyl. I put my vinyl on nonstop and learn, the next, the Iron Maiden song or, Rush. That was so much more important to me than scoring a nickel bag. I have this money. I could go buy that Rush record, or I can go out and party tonight. And not that I was the angel, dude. I was no angel, but I just thought that was more important. So I would just study my heroes, and that fulfilled not only the father thing that I guess I needed, but it also filled the playing, and it was my schooling. It was really so. And
I mean, I can definitely see you gravitating towards Gezer Butler because, I've studied Gezer in both bands, playing with Dio.
Of course.
We did a whole lot of Black Sabbath,
Yeah.
and of course, obviously with Ozzy, we
Yeah.
recorded that Speak of the Devil record. So one of the things that I learned about Gezer is there's a lot of jazz influence.
he could
in
run
his
with
playing.
it. He runs with it, man.
Absolutely.
And that's what's fun. He's under a solo. He's just awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome.
It just makes you want to play
and,
bass.
And fearless.
Totally. Fearless. He'll always end right. Right? He'll always end with the tasty stuff and he'll come out and go right back into the song.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what I look for.
Yeah.
That's what turns me on about bass.
Yeah.
I think the older I get, I love more and more bass.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
I think we're the guys in the back, but we're kind of not.
Yeah. Interesting talking about bass because I'm getting back to my roots. I mean, I grew up in Florida, and there were a lot of bars to play at. And back in the day, we didn't have the tribute bands. So we have top 40, which meant anything from Janis Joplin to Johnny Cash, and everything in between. So I was able to develop all these different styles because you had to.
You had no choice.
Because everybody else did, and it was either you're going to learn it or not get a gig. I became a fan of just about every single genre of music.
I could see it in your playing, honestly. I could see where you are because you've had a lot. You can go anywhere with your playing. I don't think people know half of what you really do.
When I
honestly.
joined a band, I joined the band. The band doesn't join me. I play with guys who kind of like, they join the band and all of a sudden it's like, can we change this or that so I could do my thing?
Right.
And it's like, no, wait a minute. this is the band, this is the sound. If we do your thing, then it's not the same band anymore, you know, and that's what I really recommend.
You're the ultimate utility man. I think you're a quality input. Like you fit the groove always, and that's your new title. Fit
I
the
look
groove.
at it as a piece of a puzzle that's missing,
Yeah.
and you want to fill it in, and you don't want to go in there and have to hammer the edges. You know, you have to like be perfectly adapt to what's in there,
Yeah.
and then seal it so it becomes seamless. When I first got into music, I wanted to be like you. One band. You're known for Anthrax.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that to me is very significant. You know, I wish, because I set out to do that. Mm-hmm. You know, put it this way, if Randy would have not passed away,
Yeah.
I would have stayed with Ozzy until they kicked me out.
I could easily see that too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have stayed there.
Yeah.
I became very painful
Obviously.
without Randy being there. That component is not there anymore. You know, spiritually and musically, everything, it's gone, you know. So then Quiet Riot, you know, we went on tour, we had the #1 record and blah,
Awesome.
blah, blah, and then things start falling apart within the individuals of the group, and
It
I had to
happens.
go.
It
I had
happens.
to go. Then I moved on to Whitesnake, and it was wonderful, and then David broke up that version of the band.
Right.
So, you know, I've always been saying, shoot, you know, just when you think you're home, you have to like pack it up and move, keep moving.
The resiliency that you have, every time you fall off that bike, you brush it off, you're getting right back on. I'm telling you, it's a better bike. You keep, now you're on the Schwinn, you know what I mean? You keep getting on the better bikes that keep, it's longevity too. I love the longevity.
I think I survived my career better than my bike riding. I was getting ready for the Whitesnake tour in 1987, and June 1st, 1987, I got hit by a car on my bicycle.
I'm sorry for laughing.
Yeah,
but
I broke my ankle. I was a total mess. Next day, I was back in rehearsal. You know, so
you actually did the tour.
I did the tour with a cast on. And yeah, we opened up for Monty Crew, Girls,
How
Girls.
did you
tour.
sit down the whole show? I
No,
mean,
I stood up. And
was it a cast? What would you have?
I had a cast, and I would put like some red leather thing over it so you couldn't see it, and I would move like a crab sideways. Shortly after that, we played together.
Yeah.
Castle Farms.
That's right. Another good time, man. You have to send me those photos too.
Yeah, I have
Ronnie.
them, yeah.
It was Ronnie's rest his soul. It was his birthday and my birthday at the same
in
time.
Athens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was a diehard Yankee fan, as I am. Baseball.
know,
That's why we
yeah,
talked all
I know,
night. And he
yeah.
says, "Here's Frank. Here's to the Yankees." We
Yeah.
cheered at the Acropolis. It was
Yeah.
so beautiful. That moment is
Yeah.
so vivid to me.
Yeah, it was
It's
amazing about Ronnie. You walk into his house and ESPN radio was on. That's all you listen to,
rest his soul.
sports.
Think about all that talent, and that guy was the biggest star, but he was the nicest guy in the world.
Genuine.
I love him.
Yeah, that's one
Rest
thing
his soul.
that used to piss me off about him was that he would remember everybody's name
Always.
and your relatives.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you have
And your relatives?
and the relatives. It's like, hey Joe, how's Frank? And how is Billy? And I go, how does he do this?
I was just happy that Ronnie knew my name. Because I was such a huge fan, I still am, of Ronnie, just because all of the above. And then when I found out he was such a beautiful man.
Oh, it's incredible.
Oh my God.
Incredible.
And it
Yeah.
just meant,
Yeah.
Frank, how are you? Good to see you again. You know, and then, he goes straight up to, how are you, Frank? Good to see you again.
Yeah.
What do you think about and then we go right into the Yankees.
And
No
really
music.
caring about the fans.
Always. Always.
I mean, he will get off the stage once in a while, upset, throw some things around because he felt that he did not give the best show. And a Dio show, a Ronnie show,
Yeah.
at his worst, is still better than most of the bands out there.
Nobody
But
was
he had
better than
this-
Dio.
This thing about him that he wanted
Yeah.
to always deliver. you know.
And he did. For me, every time I've seen Ronnie,
I know.
God, it was hands down the best.
Incredible role model. You know, when I joined the band, I have been in the business for over 25 years, and I thought, I know everything, I've experienced everything, but from him, once I joined, Dio,
Yeah.
I say, oh man, this is a whole different level here. I just learned so much from him.
Usually when I play really loud in my house, my wife, because she has to work in the morning, Frank, a little loud. Can you imagine when I get something like this, what's going to happen
Well,
in
it's
my
got
house?
a headphone output that you can just.
Yeah, but it's got to be loud. It's got to be loud, dude. This is bass.
So,
I gotta try that.
Yeah, you got to check it out.